What if I told you the most powerful country in the world isn't who you think it is? Because power doesn't always look the way you expect. When you hear powerful country, you probably think the US, China, Russia, right? But real power goes deeper than tanks, bombs, or even money. It's about influence. It's about control. It's about who writes the rules before the game even begins. Let's break it down. There's hard power, military might, soft power, culture, media, diplomacy, and then structural power, the kind that shapes the system itself. The United States, it has over 750 military bases in more than 80 countries, a navy that dominates the world's oceans, and enough nuclear weapons to end civilization multiple times. But China, it's got the world's largest standing army, and it's modernizing fast. Hypersonics, cyber warfare, AI-driven systems. Russia, still a master of energy warfare, hybrid conflict, disruption from the shadows. But here's the real question. Is that what still defines who's truly in charge? Because if raw military power isn't the full story, then who is quietly becoming the world's next superpower? Let's slow it down and look at soft power, the power to shape minds without force. America? It rules the cultural stage. Hollywood, Netflix, Harvard, NASA, its brands, its music, its lifestyle, they're not just global, they're desired. But look at South Korea, a smaller country, yet K-pop, cinema, beauty trends, they've redefined global culture. Now China, it's spreading influence through Confucius Institutes, media networks, and the Belt and Road narrative. Soft power doesn't invade, it doesn't impose, it seduces, and that might be the most effective weapon of all. Now let's move faster. Economic power, the US dollar, still the world's reserve currency. When the Fed speaks, the world listens and trembles. China, top trading partner to over 120 countries. It built its own web of roads, rail, and debt. Europe, a regulatory superpower. Its laws shape how global companies behave, even outside its borders. But here's where it gets really interesting. Economic power isn't just about size anymore. It's about positioning. Let's dig deeper into something almost invisible, yet unbelievably powerful. Structural power. The United States, it controls the IMF, the World Bank, and the SWIFT financial system, the very backbone of global banking. With a single decision, it can freeze economies, cut countries off from international finance, paralyze a nation without firing a shot. That is structural power, power that works in silence. But here's the shift. China is no longer just playing along. It's building its own world, a parallel financial order. CAPUS, its answer to SWIFT, the digital Yuan, programmable money tied to influence. This isn't just competition, it's a quiet coup of the global system itself. But what if the most powerful country isn't the one with the most weapons, but the one with the best strategy? There's a country most people overlook, yet it quietly controls more than you realize. Switzerland, tiny, neutral, seemingly harmless. But here's what they don't tell you. Switzerland doesn't just store the world's wealth. It manages it, shapes it, controls the flow of trillions. The Bank for International Settlements, the World Economic Forum, when the world's most powerful people need to make deals, where do they go? Davos, Geneva, Zurich. Switzerland has mastered the art of invisible power. No invasions, no threats, just indispensability. They've made themselves so essential to the global system that attacking them would be like cutting your own throat. Singapore? A city-state smaller than New York, yet it's the shipping gateway for half of Asia. When trade routes shift, Singapore decides where they go. That is genius-level strategy. But there's an even darker truth about power. Picture this: small nations controlling more wealth than entire continents. How is that even possible? The Cayman Islands, population 65,000, yet it controls trillions in offshore wealth. This reveals the ultimate truth about modern power. It's not about who has the biggest military, it's about who controls the flow of money, information, resources, attention. Consider Israel, surrounded by hostile neighbors, yet it's become the world's cybersecurity capital. They don't just defend against digital attacks, they shape the entire industry. Or Denmark, it controls Greenland, and with it, the Arctic shipping routes that climate change is opening. Small country, massive leverage. These countries understood something the superpowers missed. In a connected world, positioning beats size. Be the bridge everyone needs to cross. Be the service no one can replace. So ask yourself, what makes a country truly unstoppable in the modern world? Because here's the shocking reality. The most powerful country might not even be a country. It might be a network, a system, an idea that transcends borders. The internet itself, cryptocurrency, global supply chains. These don't belong to any one nation, yet they rule them all. So who's the most powerful country in the world? It's not just one country, it's the countries that learn to adapt, to become indispensable. The United States still leads through military might and cultural dominance. China rises through economic integration. But the real winners? The nations that found their niche, their unique form of power. Switzerland through financial control, Singapore through logistics, Israel through technology. But here's what's really happening. Power is becoming distributed. It's no longer about controlling everything. It's about controlling the one thing that everyone else needs. The old game was about size. The new game, it's about strategy. And the countries that understand this, they're not just surviving the future, they're writing it. In the modern world, specialization is the new superpower. Power isn't about what you have, it's about what others need from you. The question isn't who has the most power, it's who's using their power the most effectively. The balance of power is shifting, not to the biggest country, but to the smartest ones. And if you think this was surprising, wait until you see what happens when artificial intelligence becomes a country's primary weapon. Because that will change the entire game. But first, smash that like button if this completely changed how you see global power. Drop a comment with which country's strategy surprised you most. And subscribe because the future of power is about to get even more mind-blowing. We're living through the greatest power shift in human history, and most people don't even see it happening. The future is closer than you think. Are you ready for it?